Webster, Merriam-Webster, defines death as a cessation. Am I pronouncing this right? A permanent cessation of vital functions, the end of life, an instant of dying, disease causing many differences, the cause of occasional loss of life, the end. That is quite strange. I find it quite strange because science and common sense has proven that there truly is no death. There is a slowing down of life and a regeneration of life. And in the fact that life takes a recess, which is what we refer to it in the state of mental as death, which they call it death or the end of life. We call it a recess to restart a new life, to bring about something greater. And this is what we're going to be discussing tonight, the logical explanation about life after death. I am the intellectual Nuben Menkares, and this is State of Mental Radio. And tonight, as I said, we will be discussing life after death. We're not going to give you any beliefs. I'm not going to give you any opinions because I have none. I am not going to give you religious dogma because I'm not a religious man. I am going to appeal to your logic. I'm going to appeal to your common sense. For those of you who are not working off of logic and common sense, then this show or this broadcast is not for you. This broadcast requires the people to think. And whether or not, based on that, because it's obvious based on what we've accepted about life after death through religion, angels and heaven and clouds and wings, and these are the things that grown people were forced to believe in. These are the things that grown people, you had people, grown people, saying this to you and getting you to believe this. And many people to this day will describe an afterlife with clouds and angels and white robes and halos and, all kinds of childish fantasy, surreality. And, these people stand on this in religion. But if you repeat something long enough, if you get a lot of people to repeat it, and follow it, then common sense goes out of the window. Thought goes out of the window. You can get people to believe every and anything under the sun. As long as you get the ball rolling with enough people, other people will pick up and follow. Because by nature, people are bred not to think. Especially our people. We follow things. A person turns to the east and prays to God, and 1 million people, upon following that one person, or 100 people or 1,000 people, will turn to the east and pray to God. They don't know why they're doing it, and they will explain to you, they will try to explain to you why, but the truth of the matter is they're just following what other people have told them to do. No thought in the matter. Death has brought us into religion. It scared us into religion. Fear of what happens to you after death. Will you lay in the ground forever? Will you cease to exist? Will all traces of you be gone forever, never to return? That is fear. That is what triggered fear in people who ran to religion. Death and the fear of death is what led our people into religion. And in leading our people into religion, it led them into captivity. Their beliefs led them into captivity. Now, knowledge, pure knowledge will free our people out of that mental captivity of religion, of false beliefs and ideologies. Because we can logically know the truth. We can factually know the truth. Everything is not going to be written down in a book. Mankind does not know everything, contrary to what people believe. Your theologians don't know everything. They're going off of the beliefs, the limited beliefs of men who passed on long ago when describing life after death and the afterworld and the hereafter. Many of these stories were passed down of afterlife, and it was misunderstood by the people who were taking down these stories and incorporating them into religion. So now what we have here is this childlike mentality, this understanding of, life after death and what it actually is and what takes place after you are no longer continuing on in this life. As I said, the state of mental, we refer to death as recess. Recess is a break or a timeout. Because if you run a battery, a car, whatever, you run something for a lifetime or whatever the lifetime or the span of life of that object is, it will eventually shut down. And the power that went through that shell or that frame will have to seek out a new shell in the frame to run the power through. That power that I'm speaking about is the essence of you. That is your memory. That is the mental you, the mental self. That mental self is constantly looking to be housed in a new frame, in a new form. They say in science that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It just is. However, just as in the universe you have stars that burn as bright as they can and burn out, so do you have people and the essence of who they are. Certain people on the planet, certain people in the world will eventually, because they are not encoded in the memories of people, they're not encoded in the minds of people or the memories, or they haven't done anything to register or resonate in the minds of people, will eventually burn out. You will forget about them. They will cease to exist in the memories of others because they have not done anything to be registered in the memory of others. They have not done anything to resonate. Based on that mental impression that you make in the minds of people, that determines whether you will live on into the future. And what I mean by that is physically returning here. See, because once your essence of what you stood for, who you were, what are you remembered for by others, is strong in the minds of people, and once you've made a great impression, you can't help but to return in the form of something new. Remember, memory is energy. Thoughts are power. These thoughts are governed by higher intelligence. Higher intelligence is what sends these messages, these thoughts, the essence of you, into this physical realm, into a physical body. It has to be housed. It's like trapping energy or power or electricity in a form. You, the essence of you, is going to be always trapped as you come into this physical state in a physical form. Energy or mental energy, or what we refer to as mentelic energy in the state of mental, is constantly seeking a body to be housed. Energy does not move, contrary to what people think. Energy does not move aimlessly throughout the universe or just constantly moves. It's always looking to be housed. And as it is looking to be housed, just like the essence of you is looking to be housed and looking for a home, just like, you don't want to be, no one wants to be homeless. You would always be looking for a home, someplace to reside. So does your mental being, or what you refer to as your soul, constantly looks for a place, that energy looks for a place to be housed at. It looks to be contained. because you can move the physical matter of yourself with that power in a greater form as you constantly come into this existence. What do I mean by that? I mean that as you are going into that state of recess, or what you call death in this lifetime, you're constantly becoming greater. The evolution of you is becoming greater. That energy is being charged. If you shut down power, right? If you shut down power and you let it build up, when it builds up and it comes back into form, into a physical form, the power is much stronger. Factually, how do you know this? With each generation, with each group of people that come forward, we are evolving mentally. We know more. We're learning more. What is expanding our brains? What expands our brains? What expands the centers of our brains? What opens up new passages to our brains? Higher intelligence, that essence, that light of who you truly are. Because that light is expanded, right? It is expanded as it leaves the physical form, recharges to a greater essence or a greater lighter form, and comes back into this state, into this physical state, into a physical body. And that person that it houses, that light houses, is much more intelligent, faster, quick thinking. We constantly are looking for new houses. We're constantly looking to house ourselves in new bodies. It's no different than physically, where you're constantly looking for shelter. Your essence, your memory, your soul, your mental force, or which we call your mental soul, is constantly looking to be housed in new bodies. Would you want to live in a house that is dilapidated? No. You would not want to live in a house that's dilapidated and old. You're going to go out and seek a new house. That is the mentality that is driving your soul or your mental soul. Once the body gets old and it starts to shut down, the mental soul is looking to leave and go out and recharge and look for a new body to inhabit. I spoke to the brother when we were talking about death and the recycling of tissue and through the nostrils, through the nasal cavity of bacteria, because I said that 90% of the dust that's in the air is skin. You shed all the time. People shed skin all the time. And I said that the skin that is being shed is the same skin that is being sifted through the nasal cavity of women who are pregnant, and this bacteria is forming skin on children. So even the physical flesh is being recycled. Now, I know the East Indians talked about reincarnation. However, they weren't the first ones who spoke on a recycling of life. Our people have been speaking on the recycling of life forever. We had first knowledge of this, and we passed it on to people. It just made it into this society as reincarnation. And like I said, we took it, and when we think about life after death and the word reincarnation, we use human terminology. We use Hindu terminology. We use religious terminologies when we think about life after death. But never do we take it from the mental side. Never do we take it from higher intelligence side. No, never do we look at it this way. And this is how we're supposed to be looking at it today. We're supposed to move away from the childlike mentality of life after death. We're supposed to move away from the fear of death or so-called death. We move away from it by understanding it or having an ultra-standing of it for what it truly is. A recess of power, a resetting of power, a shutting down of power to take on a new physical form. This should actually be called life after life, because death is actually a short period. What you call that recess is actually a short period or a time span between those two lives, one life that you left and a new life that you will begin. Okay? That's factual. There's nothing new that's being recycled as far as into the planet. These are all the same forces that are being recycled into the planet. The same personalities, the same mentalities are being recycled into the planet constantly. When you see people who have newer ideas and coming in with new thoughts and things like that, that is a sign that these people have been recharged. That memory has gone out into the atmosphere, has gone out into the universe, into the great power source, and has been recharged and sent back into this atmosphere or this infinite state. From an eternal state into an infinite state, meaning a circular state, as I explained it to people, that this planet is based on infinity, a constant turning or rotation of the planet within the universe, the solar system. I was explaining to brothers in the Nation of Islam, I said that the universe is not the solar system. The solar system exists within the universe. The universe is space, and space exists to house light. Darkness exists to house light. I said to say that the universe is the solar system is a part of the universe is like placing a ball in a bag and saying that the ball is now a part of the bag. The ball exists in the bag, but you can take the ball out of the bag, just like you can take the solar system out of the universe and you will have dark space. But darkness exists to house light. Darkness or space is eternal, to house eternal light, and that eternal light is you. You are the eternal light, and you are the eternal life that is in constant continuation forward into that state of evolution or mental evolution in order to come back as needed. Because the planet always needs evolved thinking. We always need to be jump-start mentally. We always need a jump-start. Who were the people that were jump-started mentally? Of course, our people. We were jumped ahead of everybody because we had a natural connection or a natural link to higher intelligence, to the supreme intellectual being Amen. God is a supreme intellectual being, true ruler, true thinker, true intellectual, supreme intellectual. God is never looked at in this way as a intellectual, a supreme intellectual. Never looked at this way. Always looked at in some mysterious, spooky, far out way. Because God was a mystery to men of the old, of the past. So they passed that mysterious perception on to the people today. Their minds weren't developed enough to truly have an understanding of what God is, what the supreme being actually is. A higher intelligent being, a man who walked with intelligent people, an advanced society of people. This is what we're dealing with. This is what we're supposed to be on the road to becoming. I say that as the black people who are evolving out of the black race into a bright race. What do I mean by that? I said that black people are in darkness and that our people are supposed to be in a state of going toward light. When they tell you in depth, go toward the light, go toward the light, go toward the light, you ever hear them say it, go toward the light? What does that mean? They say things, people say things, they don't even understand what they're saying when they're saying go toward the light. What they're telling you is unconsciously that you're supposed to be heading toward light after the recess period to be recharged, to return back. You receive charging or you receive more power mentally to return back. They say in religion you go to some place called purgatory. All right? Purgatory. That's supposed to be between heaven and hell. This is what they teach in Catholicism. All right? Purgatory is just a state of darkness and, nothing's going on there and, you're pretty much waiting to see where you're supposed to go. All right? But that is what we refer to as a stage of recess, a stage where a transition is taking place, a transformation takes place. Life never stops. It is only the human, mankind, who is obsessed with death. He is obsessed with death. Why is the human race obsessed with death? Why are they obsessed with ending life? What is it about the human race that wants to force them, that makes them force themselves back into a state of darkness, a state of death, a state of recess, as we refer to it? Could it be that they come from this planet, right? And as people who come from this planet, they are trapped within this realm. They are trapped within this realm. What do I mean by that? I mean that you have people, when they talk about spirits and seeing energies and all kinds of what they call ghosts, or they call impressions, and these are people. These are energies and mental forces that are trapped here in the planet. They can't go anywhere. There is no mental recharge for a lot of people. There is no coming back into a higher form for some people, because they serve no purpose. They served no purpose when they were here. So you can basically decide within yourself, will you come back and reach higher and achieve more, or will you stay stagnant in the state of nothingness and just burn out here? Just like you made the decision as a sperm cell amongst 7,777,000 sperm, or whatever the number is, millions of sperm, to make it to the egg or to the ovum. You decide, you raced here. So that was intelligence right there to start the race, to want to live, to make it to the light, to make it to this physical state. That was a form of intelligence that was already attached to you, encoded within you. It gets deep, very deep, yet it's simple. Energy cannot be destroyed. Energy cannot be created. When people tell you they're creating energy and things like that, they're working with energy that already exists. They're not creating anything. They're working with something that already exists. When I talked about the creation of the human race, I said that the supreme intellectual beings, the Amen beings, who we are descendants of, the so-called black race of descendants of, when the human race was created, they were created or made from things that were already in existence here. Dirt, land, whatever, animals, bits and pieces, everything that was already created here. That's when you bring about life from things already in existence. A creation is artificial. It's an artificial. What's the word? It's an artificial put together of something, an artificial compound of something. It's not natural. I said that the human race is not natural. Their existence on the planet is not natural. It's artificial. Anything that you have to make from other things and you just can't bring out by way of manifestation of something that is beyond that, then you are creating an artificial compound. The people that make it onto the next level are the people who are in tune naturally with the higher source. I'm going to just go ahead and say it. The majority of our people who are in tune are going to constantly be coming back here, and we're going to constantly be moving forward and constantly be called back to the planet to move things forward. It's already encoded in us to do that. The majority of our people will burn out. Majority of our people serve no purpose. So what purpose do you serve in living on after that period of recess? What purpose do you serve? So you will burn out. You will cease to exist because you serve no purpose. Or the purpose that you served was only for that time, and you don't serve any purpose beyond that time. You decide You decide whether you're going to move forward and come back, or you're going to stay in a state of nothingness and just burn out eventually. You can see the black men all over the planet, the ones who are sitting around and standing around doing nothing, not making any real impressions in life. These are the people who will burn out. Black women, same thing. You got a planet full of people, same thing. Light or energy that will burn out because it serves no purpose. You can constantly regenerate lesser light, but the greater light, the greater intelligence is something that is continuous. You can't regenerate that. And what I mean by that is you can't break it apart and put it back together. It's constantly in motion. Certain people, certain energy, and certain mental energy is constantly in motion. What are your thoughts on this? Weigh in. If my words are a little bit confusing, I don't mean them to be. I'm trying to simplify it because this is how knowledge is coming to me. Because I think about this. I think about this because based on life after death and this whole mindset of that, we wrap ourselves in certain ways of thinking and limitations because our mindset is, oh, I'm just going to come live. I'm here. I'm going to live and I'm going to die. But for those of our people who are truly linked into something on a higher level, we know that that is not it. And we're not saying that's not it because we don't want it to not be it. We're afraid of dying. We like, it got to be more. We know instinctively and we feel naturally that there is something more. But then you have some of our people, for some of our people, there is nothing more. They acknowledge that. There's no convincing them because your situation or who you are or the essence of you might not be the same as the essence of who they are. Just because we share the same color does not mean we are the same kind. All right? I'm going to let you marinate on that, think on that for a minute. So, oh, by the way, we had a good session at the Black Evolutionary Mind Expressions, the State of Mental spoken word and poetry session we did Saturday in Brooklyn, and we're going to be doing it again in Brooklyn at the Restoration Plaza at 1368 Fulton Street between Brooklyn and New York Avenues. We're going to start. The doors are opening at 8 o'clock. Admission is $10, and we're giving away $100 grand cash prize for the best spoken word artist, poet of the evening. Come out for good food, good music, good spoken word, and to mingle. Okay? We will be back. Blue 6. All is mental. Everything is based on mental power. Everything. You have the power to move yourself past death if you build up your mind strong enough. That sounds funny. What do I mean by that? I mean that you can actually transcend death. Are we there yet? No. But it's possible. A wise man once said to me that death is nothing but a disease, something that we suffer from and break down eventually, and we go into recess or into a recession. All right? So when we go into that recess and we are building up in that mental energy, that mental soul is leaving that old body. That body that has been broken down, that old vessel, that old vehicle, and is recharging to come back in a new body that is looking to come back in a brand spanking new body. We are fearful of that period in between. Is it possible that we can just pass on quickly and dump out this old body, or pass on to it, or re-energize this older body? We're getting to that. We're going to come to that. The white man, he's working on ways to try to regenerate tissues and cells and things of that nature, what he got from us. He got that from the supreme beings, the supreme intellectual beings. He's not doing anything on his own. He's just discovering knowledge that we left behind and that we've been disconnected from. Contrary to what a lot of you people think, the white man is not coming up with anything or discovering anything. He's just coming in tune with knowledge or higher knowledge that we left behind, that we've disconnected ourselves from. We had the knowledge of life and death, or life after death. And it was a point where we didn't even acknowledge anything. There was no such word as death. That was something that came with the advent of the human race. Right? People who were made to die. What do I mean by that? Artificial things, people that come from the earth and come from the ground, people are made for a certain point and period in time, and they are made to last for a certain point, period in time, and then die, burn out. This is so with the human race. When we mix our seed, I'm talking about the black ones of our people, when we mix our seed, we actually shorten our lifespan because we're taking on all of the imperfections of the human race. For those of you who are not familiar with what I teach that the black race, the so-called black race, are not a part of the human race. We are not a part of the human creation. We are a separate species of being. Now, I know that sounds crazy to a lot of people. Once you hear it, you go, oh, you're going to cut it off. You're like, oh, I don't believe that. Where he getting this from? All you got to do is look at you and look at everybody else. That tells you the whole story. Look at you with your woolly hair. Look at you with your coated skin that's coated in carbon. Look at the hue and the texture of your skin. Look at your features. Do you really think you're like everybody else here who has the same straight hair and thin skin and bland artificial coloring to them? Do you really believe that you're the same as everyone else? Do you really believe that? Only an ignorant person would believe that. See, thinking requires you to actually know what it is you're looking at, to be able to properly assess what it is you're looking at. See, because a lot of people, they don't even understand what they're looking at. They're looking at something clear, that's clear in front of your face, so you're supposed to already start to formulate an idea based on logic of what you're looking at. You can logically see that you don't look like everybody else. You can logically tell that you don't move like everybody else. You can logically tell that you're not coordinated and you don't think like everyone else. That's why you are the outcast on the planet. That's why racism is always put against you, not against the East Indians, not against the Chinese, not against anyone else. It's constantly placed on you. No one likes us. I don't care if it's the East Indians who are as dark as us, down to the Chinese and things like that. Those people and the white man, those people all get along with each other because they are the human creation. You are descendants of the God race, and they know it. They know it. They know who you are. That's why they hate you, because they know eventually you're going to wake up. They know eventually you're going to wake up and you're going to become watchers again. You will inherit power. The meek shall inherit the earth. Who was the meek? You've been the meek for thousands and thousands of years since you fell out of mental connection with the true and living God. You fell out of mental power with the true and living God. You fell out of your position to govern the planet as descendants of the true and living God, blood descendants. So now the artificial creation has crept in, and they were able to take control of the planet. Your white man, your East Indian, your Asiatic people. Your Asiatic people, your East Indians, the white race, the Chinese. Because your white man is Caucasian, he's part of the Asiatic people. The straight-haired people, the people who have hair like animals, fur. They were able to take control of the planet. And they became territorial with it like animals are. Do not animals pee in certain areas and mark their spot and they'll be ready to kill you if you come in that area, is not mankind the same way? Because he descends from animals. We created the human race from animals. And just as animals are going to die and go into the earth, just as the dinosaurs were put into the earth, they served a purpose for a short period of time, or well, I should say a long period of time. They served a purpose. Every life form that comes here serves a purpose. All created life forms serve a purpose. All single-celled amoebas that are dropped into the water to produce a greater life serve a purpose and a greater plan. And we knew the greater plan because we created the circle of life, or the cycle of life, for the human race and the animal kingdom. Because the humans are technically, and any scientist will tell you, the humans are technically animals. They are animals. They carry the same fur. They attract fleas. They are animals. And they were meant to serve a purpose just like the rest of the animals. They were meant to be eaten by other animals, hunted by other animals, defecated out by other animals so that defecation can go into the planet and fertilize the planet to bring up new growth, new greenery, fertilizing the planet. Look at the dinosaurs. Did not the dinosaurs, they went into the earth after they passed away when the meteor showers hit this planet and killed off the dinosaurs? It's like they disappeared. A remnant of the dinosaurs were left, but the majority of the dinosaurs, their body, bones, and everything went into the earth as fossil fuel. They became the what I want to say. They became the fertilizer for new plant life. Their bodies. And the human race is supposed to be in that circle of life and in that cycle of death. It's a constant circle. And we, because we are trapped here, became trapped in that cycle as well. But the point of it is, we're supposed to be reaching beyond this circle. Us, the elect of the black race. Because some of our people have now fallen on to the level of mankind, and they act as mankind. So they are trapped in that submental state, in this circle of constant mental death, constantly going down, further and further, to where you don't even recognize our people anymore. You don't recognize them. We are supposed to be moving forward out of the state of intelligence or lack of intelligence that we are in. We had to know about death and life and what it really was to us and what it's supposed to be and how we're supposed to see it. We are supposed to know, not believe, what precedes this life. You can think yourself, the higher your intelligence is, your mental connection is to those supreme intellectual beings, the future you. The higher your connection is to it, the more you block out and move beyond these limited beings or these limited people here, the greater your knowledge will become, the clearer your picture will become. I've done that. That's why I'm able, and I'm constantly doing this. That's why the pictures are becoming clearer. You have to block out everything else. You have to block out all of these people here and look beyond them to see something greater. You have to move off of the submental state to actually see what's taking place, to actually get pictures in your mind. Because what's happening is when that takes place, you're making a reconnection to that mental state that is beyond the submental state, which is what everyone dwells on here, which is what mankind controls here. He's even attempted to try to control the mental state because he makes all kinds of books talking about the mind and things like that, because this is done as a way to control the mind, control the procession of thoughts, to feed you information to get you thinking in a certain form, in a certain circular form, in a state of nowhere, to keep you afraid, to keep you with childlike beliefs about things like death. As I said, you can actually think yourself into a new life after this life. Make impressions. Make strong impressions in what you do. Make yourself necessary. I'm making myself necessary. Okay? I made myself necessary. I opened myself up to teach my people. So I will return again. I know this for a fact because we always are in error and we will always need correction. Just like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad would return. Just like when people like Garvey and people, they're going to return in higher forms, more advanced. It's just like the person, like say, your grandfather passes away and, you know, you have a son or whatever, and you start to say to yourself, because you remember your grandfather so well, you be like, you know, your son, he has so many attributes of your grandfather, of the grandfather. You know, he's just like granddad. He's just like my father. He's just like him. Because that's actually your father coming back through your son. Memories will be more advanced, won't be as focused on the past. New slate is clean. The slate is wiped clean of old memories. A new memory card is in. A new mindset, an advanced mindset. But certain key elements of that personality still exist there. You pass mental attributes off just like you pass off genetic attributes. You pass them off. You are a heightened state constantly coming forward. So, of course, it's nothing to produce a body to inhabit that. I told this became so much clearer to me when my grandmother passed away. It became very clear to me. I told my mother, I said, you know, my grandmother, I said, she's not that physical frame that we were looking at that was in the coffin. I said, that's not her. I said, Grandma took off running. She couldn't wait to get out of that old body. And they like, you know, they bust out laughing. Some of them like thought it was crazy that I said it. I said, but she couldn't wait to get out of that old body. Her energy and her soul, that mental soul, was so big. You know, it was waiting. It was just, I could tell it was just like she was waiting to leave to go out and recharge and to come back in this state as a new person, to take on a new house. I felt that. She was pure mental person. She was a pure mental being. Pure. You have to become a pure mental being in order to move to this and get an ultra standing of this. You have to become a pure mental being to get a greater ultra standing of this. So then when you don't fear death or recess, you don't fear it. You actually are moving beyond it after a while. It becomes smaller and smaller because you're actually putting on, or you're putting up, you're putting out impressions in the minds of people with your works, because you're bringing back, or you're building up your resume to qualify to live into the future. I use those terminologies, resume and qualify, because it actually is like a resume that you qualify to live into the future. Majority of the people are not going to make it because they don't serve a purpose. They don't qualify. So when people look at us and they say, oh, you know, well, what this brother talking, he talking some craziness. I'm going to go back to smoking my weed. I'm going to go back to the party. I don't want to hear all this. Yeah, you don't serve no purpose anyway. You don't serve a purpose. You are the same person that will be trapped here when you pass on in this circle, constantly revolving until you burn out. The same whores or whorish people, the same fools that were here thousands of years ago have been trapped in this circle, constantly coming back as fools, as whores, as all of these things, all of these useless people. They've been constantly coming back. And they're going to constantly come back until they burn out, because they're not going to get it. They're not going to be able to move off of this level. They're constantly going to keep revolving or recycling into this state, constantly looking to inhabit, hunting down and inhabiting new life forms. They hunt new life forms. They seek out bodies to take. Okay? They seek it out because they're connected to this. They're connected to this physical realm. They're not connected to the mental realm. They're not connected to the state of constantly bringing new intelligence here. They don't have a purpose. Their purpose is just foolishness, constant foolishness until they burn out. Like I said, the star that burns the brightest will eventually burn out. Because as you are that light being that is being lit up, as you are receiving higher intelligence, because intelligence is light, it transfers as light, it transfers as messages, it transfers as movement. As you are receiving that higher intelligence, you are brightening up gradually. So there's always a constant brightening up gradually, to whereas you're not even focused on any of these people who are here. You're not worried about the people who are beside you. You're not worried about these people because you know they're trapped in this state physically. They're trapped. They're going to keep doing the same things over and over and over again. And when they die or when they go into that state of death, those are the people who actually die. Let me just go ahead and make that. Those are the people who actually die. Because when they go into that state of death and they go into that recycling bin that's here on this planet, that constant rotation, because as I said, the solar system works off of rotation. As they go into that state of rotation and they're looking and they're seeking out bodies to take, to come back in, they are walking dead because they serve no purpose. The people that serve no purpose on this planet are already walking dead. They're doing the same things the animals are doing. They just haven't physically laid down yet. They're trying to sustain a physical movement. What is the word animal, right? It has the same root word as animation. One who is being forced forward by elements, right? What is the element that forces animation? Wind. And what is in wind? Electricity, right? A lot of these people are being forced forward by wind and electricity that is being manipulated by greater minds. They're being manipulated. They're being shocked and moved into motion, like the animals, people, the human race. And then you have those ones who are the elect, who are in tune, who are walking beyond that. See, the whole point of waking our people up, the Great Awakening, was a mental awakening, waking them up beyond death. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that our people were mentally dead. So he was on to something when he said that. I always make reference to him. Dr. York, make reference to him. He said that our people, when he wrote the book, the first book he wrote was the Mind book. So these men were on to something. So now we understand, or we have an understanding when we get to me, that all is mental. Though we thought about this before, but we never knew on what level it was all mental, even beyond death. You are a mental soul. You are a mental soul force. Your soul light energy power is mentally powered. All things about you are mentally powered. Even your life is mentally powered. There is no facet of your existence that is not powered by the mental. When you pass on to the next life, when you go into that state of recession, that's all powered by the mind. You're actually laying yourself out. You're already laying out the program. You're already laying out how you want to come back in the next world. You're thinking yourself into that. Let's just start thinking about that. Start thinking about that, for example. What do you want to be? What do you want to resonate in the minds of people as? What do you want to do that is great beyond you? Because based on that, that's going to be who you come back as and who you constantly keep coming back to this planet as in greater forms. This is who you're going to be working on in that state of recession when you leave the physical body. This is who you're going to be working on. This is the light that's going to be charging you up to come back in greater form of who you left as. You have the same people that were here on this planet. You have great Egyptian pharaohs that are going to come back. You have great leaders that are going to come back, who are back already in physical form, though they're not saying anything, though they're not making you aware of it, but they are in a more advanced state, and they're going to teach them more advanced knowledge. A lot of our people, they say that when somebody brings something, there's nothing new under the sun. and that when somebody brings something, that they're actually recycling something old, right? And I said that's not true, because God, or that supreme intellectual being, formerly known as God, right? Because that's religion. The supreme intellectual being, Amen, the higher self of man and woman, constantly brings forward new things, brings them into our presence, into our mental presence, the ones who are in tune. We are going to discover new things. People say, what I'm teaching is new. I said, yeah, because there's never been an organization that was based on future intelligence, not a so-called black organization. There's never been anyone who is trying to take our people from the black race and bring about a bright race. BRIGHT, a bright race. Pure light beings, pure mental beings. See, because when they referred to us in the black race and they referred to us in that form, they were actually calling us people in darkness, people in ignorance. And like everything, we embraced it. We ate it up, just like we ate up Africa. We ate that up. We didn't realize, or we tried to look beyond, or we didn't connect to the fact that people were calling us Africans to marginalize us into a certain section. We didn't look into the fact that people were referring to us as black as a way of calling us ignorant, or people who were in darkness, when this is not true about who we actually are. We are a bright race of people, people who house a pure light energy. You can see the sheen and the shine in our skin. I don't care. And this has nothing to do with light skin and dark skin for the simple-minded people. Oh, you talking about bright? You mean light and dark? No, I'm not talking about light skin and dark skin. I'm talking about you can be a dark brown, the darkest dark chocolate brown to the lightest skin beige. You understand? I'm talking about a brightness, a shine, a light in your face that is based in intelligence. However, when our people do the things they're not supposed to be doing, that light goes dull. When you indulge in the things on that submental level, the light goes dark. And you can see it in your face. We can see it. It's not something that can be picked up by shea butter and Vaseline in the face. I'm talking about there's a light that is seen in your face, that is connected to something higher, that you are actually tuned in to something. And a lot of the people, when the light is so bright, what happens with our people is they either come toward it or they go away from it. Go toward the light. And they say that in the dark, and they say that in death. Go toward the light. Like I said earlier, go toward the light. What does that mean? That means go towards the intelligence. We recognize in the state of mental, we recognize pure light as intelligence. In this society where they got the idea of being bright and intelligent and recognizing that as intelligence, they got that from the Egyptians. They got that from the ancient mentalists. That's what we refer to the so-called Egyptians and the Kemites as. We refer to them as the ancient mentalists. We are the modern and the present future mentalists. We are all one line of Amen beings because they were mental beings. You had to be a mental being in order to put these things together. You had to be connected to build cities and pyramids and things like that at that time that was beyond everyone's thinking process or perception. So you had to be connected to something higher. They had a greater understanding about life and death. They're the first ones that talked about, well, some of the first that talked about a continuation. Though they weren't too clear on it, because that was of their time, we're becoming more clearer on that now. We're receiving more clarity on it if you were tuned in. Recess. Life after life. Life, recession, life. We don't use the word death within the state of mental. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as death. There's no such thing as cease to exist with us. Within the Amen race or the Amen beings, we're constantly in motion. We're constantly in movement. We structured this solar system to constantly everything, even the compounds and the breakdowns of the elements and things of that nature. They break down into something else. Even when you're the skin on your frame breaks down. It breaks down into something else. So it's constantly being recycled. We put an energy or power on this solar system that's constantly keeping a rotation going of light energy that's constantly keeping things in a recycling process or recycled procession. We leave out of this circle to recharge, to come back, to push things forward, to push the intelligence forward, to bring it as messengers, light messengers, bright messengers. This is mentellect. Mentellect is necessary in the evolution of our people today. It is. Because look at where our people are at now, from where we come from. Look at what we fall into. Look at what we fall into. We are people who are not resonating in the minds of anyone, except as fools and as useless people. We're not resonating in the minds of anyone today. The image of the black man and the image of the black woman serves no purpose. It resonates only as foolishness, as stupidity, as ignorance. When you talk about the Jews, they think intelligent, smart people, doctors, professional people. When you talk about the Asians, you think of smart people, equipped in math and things like that. When you talk about the WASP, the white people, business people, equipped in handling business and running things. You talk about the East Indians, you think intelligent people, business people, fast food owners. You talk about the Spanish or the so-called Latinos and the blacks, the Latinos. That's when you start getting criminals and this, that, and the third, or bodega owners. When you get down to the blacks, slang, hip-hop, disrespect to the women, messed up families, single-parent household. These are all the things that come to mind when you think about, and this is what resonates in the minds of people and our own people when it comes to the black people. This is what resonates in our minds. So if this resonates in the minds of people, even our own, when we deal with each other, do you really think that these type of people are worthy to live into the future? Are these people worthy to come back in the future with this mentality that they have now? I say no, and I don't care if it's black people, whoever it is. I'm going by the mentality, not by the color or the connection. I go by the mentality of where our people are, and that we must lift ourselves up mentally and connect with that higher source, Amen, the true and living God, in order to jumpstart our thinking again, in order to fix us, because this is the only thing that's going to fix us, the ones of our people who understand or have an understanding that we need correction, We need correction because we fell down mentally in that submental space with the human race, with mankind. Everything that we are doing is a direct result of our commingling and cohabitating with mankind. It was a time where we were looked at as people of a higher life and realm and way of thinking. Now, we looked at the human race or mankind as the low and as the bottom. Now the positions have changed. Now they're worthy of coming back and moving things forward and registering, and moving the planet forward. And in fact, they're looking outward to doing that and sustaining their lives. What is the black man talking about and the black woman? Hip-hop, a party, a club, something stupid. And we're constantly kept in that stage because what we're teaching is dangerous. Anything that's going to wake the minds of the natural people up is dangerous in this society. The true evolution is the evolution of your mind, the black mind, the so-called black man and black woman's mind. That's the true threat in a society such as this, because with the evolution and the jump start of our intelligence will bring about a number 13. And what I mean by that is a new day. And once a new day comes in, the old days fade away. The artificial power structure fades away. A whole new dynamic starts to structure. Things become clearer to you. Power becomes more achievable to you. Power is at your fingertips once you move your mind forward. However, a lot of our people don't want it. That's why we say, and the revelation was right when it said about the elect, the chosen, the ones who can hear and listen, not just listen and not hear. You can hear me, but are you listening? Are you tuning in? Are you really picking up what's actually being said? See, because and a lot of our people, it's not registering, it's not real to them because you want to be a part of this, you want to be accepted because the greater the general population is under a submental way of thinking. So if they're under a submental way of thinking, you don't want to be considered an outcast, so you'll join them in that submental way of thinking. You won't put your mind in that mental level or seek to become a pure mental being because you know that people will move away from you. The light exists in the darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Right? You are the light that exists within the darkness of our people. And the darkness is the ignorance of our people, and they do not comprehend you. They don't understand why we talk this way, why we don't fear death, why we refer to death as recess, as playtime, as rest time from work or a lifetime of work. We refer to our death, or should I say our recess, our passing of life into a recess period as going home and taking off an old suit or taking off an old pair of clothes and changing clothes. That's how we look at life after life. We look at it as a changing of physical form, a mental changing or mental transfer into a physical form. And you are only, I'm going to say this again, you are only able to do this once you've raised your mental level to that higher state. Everyone is not going to be able to do that just because you exist here, just because your skin is black, just because you got a fro. No, you're not going to just be able to do that. Your mentality dictates that. What you do and what you're not doing. You people that are getting high, getting drunk, doing all the things that are based in the submental state, you're not going to be able to do that. So you Negroes that sit around here talking about you want to self-medicate and get high so you can move on to the next mental level, you ain't going nowhere. You're going nowhere. You're just a drug addict. You vibrate on a low mental state. There is no mental evolution for you. There is no afterlife for you because you serve no purpose. You will eventually burn out. Keep in mind that the people that are around you will eventually burn out. So you should seek out people who are raising their intelligence and their light. It will be family members that will burn out. It will be lovers, friends. They will burn out. Trust me, they will. They will fade because they serve no purpose. You'll see this in time. We have come to a point where we have to evolve mentally. We have to break away. The intelligent ones of our people have to break away. We have to. There has to be a rising of a new family. There has to be. If there's no rising of a new family, if there is no evolution, if there is no new people, if there is no new people rising out of a dead people, then you will die with them. You will pass with them. You will cease to exist with them. This is what's going to take place with our people. This is what mankind wants for our people. Why do you think he puts so much energy into dragging down our mental? Why do you think he puts so much energy into putting foolishness into our heads? Look at it and look at the titles. There's a new group I posted on my Facebook called Mindless Behavior. Mindless Behavior. Now, why would he choose a name like that? I'm sure they didn't come up with it. These are young guys. You know, why would he come up with a name like that? Because they're trying to make sure that the future generation of our people are governed by mindless behavior. People who are not thinking. People who are not in tune with that high mental force. They know exactly what I'm saying. They know what I'm teaching is the truth. They hear this. Everyone listens to this. The ones who are in the know about this, they see that flag that we raising. Don't worry about the rest of the ignorant Negroes. This is not for them. They have a childlike mentality. Their mentality is the same as the mindless behavior kids. Don't worry about them. Your boyfriends, your girlfriends, your husbands, your wife, your family members, they pretty much not too far from the mindless behavior kids that I posted on the Facebook. In the darkness. And that darkness doesn't comprehend the light. You people in religion, you're way off. You got people who set up here. These are the same people that set up here and believed in angels with wings and heaven and clouds and puffy clouds. These are the same people that believe that. So, are these people fit mentally? Are they able to resonate into a new tomorrow? Will they fit in? You can't fit this knowledge into religion, this knowledge of intellect that I'm sharing with you, where you register in the future, you register in the next world through your mental, through how high your mental state is, through how high your mental connection is, how strong your mental connection is. That's what dictates whether you will live into the future, into the next world, and pass beyond recess, or what we refer to as death. This is reality. The white man, like I said, he is constantly working on trying to escape death. And he's going to eventually find the answer because he's thinking. Because he keeps our people not thinking. So he can absorb the mental energy that's flowing through this atmosphere that we're supposed to be picking up. While people sitting around smoking weed, watching the damn football game or going shopping or doing all kind of mindless nonsense, they're picking up the mental power that's moving through this atmosphere. But there'll be some of us, a chosen few, who will not be distracted. While you sitting around worrying about your tax checks and whether Barack Obama going to be president next year, who cares? We don't care. We're focused on nothing other than the mental evolution of ourselves and kind, and forming a community to strengthen that mental connection. That's all we're concerned with within the state of mental, becoming pure mental beings, as the true and living God, Amen, has intended. When religion spoke about angels in heaven, and when you passing away, and if you were good, you went to heaven, and you saw all of these angels and beings of light, and good beings and things like that. What they were actually trying to explain to you in a primitive and clumsy way was that these are advanced beings that are on a higher realm, an advanced realm in a higher state mentally, who carried themselves a certain way, who think on a higher level, and you were worthy to come amongst those beings. The Egyptians, the Nubians, all of them talked about that, and this is where the idea of angels and messengers and all that came from them. They talked about advanced people, the Amen beings, where they referred to as ʟᴏᴜ, or they referred to in Sumeria as the ʟᴏᴜᴜ. The Dogons referred to them as Amma. Right? And we've always been in contact with higher beings, advanced beings, higher states of us, advanced stages of us, and who we are, connected beings that were connected to us. They came through us, or we came with them first. And as we severed our connection, we left them no other choice but to have to deal with the human creation in order to move things forward on the planet. Because when we let things go, we didn't want to pick the ball back up. So the intelligence of mankind had to be advanced to fill in the space. We are talking about people, when you accept a certain mentality, a certain duty amongst yourself, to uphold yourself a certain way, to live by a certain code of conduct. Because it's interesting that the word code of conduct, or the word conduct, can be found in as an electrical term or conduction, right? Or a conduit or a receiver of power. When you carry yourself with as a certain receiver or by a certain conduct as a receiver of a higher mind frame or a higher mental state, when you don't do what other people are doing, when you're not governing yourself by the low mental, submental way of thinking as other people are doing, your reward is to be amongst beings who think on a higher level. Because in physical form and in mental form, you crave to be around those who are just like you. You will always find people who are like you. You will not fit into people who are on a submental state if you are not in a submental state. You will not fit into circles of people if you are not forced onto those circles, if you are not connected to those circles. You will stick out like a sore thumb. Same as when you pass away or when you go into that state of recess and you move into another state of life. You move in with higher beings, higher intelligent beings. You're going to be amongst those who are like you. You are not alone. You just haven't found your way home. But we are gradually finding our way home. I said that my job as mentor to the state of mental is to find the intelligent ones of my people, the ones who are in tune with the true and living God. Though you may not know what I mean and you might not know the terminologies we use in the state of mental, but you have an idea of what's being said. It resonates with you. You can't figure it out, but it resonates. And it's going to resonate with a lot of other people. And more people are starting to come toward us, come to us, because they feel a connection. They feel that connection so strongly, and a lot of our people, because the year 2012 is making that connection stronger, where that new race, the bright race, is going to raise out of the black race. This is year one, the start of that rising of a new people, a new community of people out of the black race. Because, as I said, our people are attracted to that whole thing of darkness. We're attracted to the whole thing of blackness and darkness, and we hold it as some sort of pride thing, because we had it etched in our minds about this black pride and Pan-Africanism and things like that. We had things etched in our minds, but we're clinging on to death and the darkness. We're clinging on to nothingness. We're marginalizing ourselves into a space by calling ourselves Africans. And when you marginalize yourself into a space, you will eventually be destroyed. You will be identified and you will be destroyed. We are constantly being pushed down and compressed into a space, into a box, into a circle. See, because when you can push people down into a box, into a circle, and get them to think a certain way in a formation, you can sit, focus your magnifying glass on them like ants, and basically destroy them at will. But now, when we break out of the box, when we connect to that pure light, that pure intelligence that breaks us out of the box, you can't hit a moving target. They moving too quick. They thinking too fast. The black race right now, they not moving quick. They not thinking fast. They're standing still. They're in the crosshairs of the greater power. They are earmarked for distinction. They're earmarked for extinction. Extinction. That's why we're being focused on, and energy is put into bringing us down mentally. Because when you bring down the people mentally and you raise up other people mentally, you attempt to raise up other people mentally, what happens is, based on the greater mass of people, the greater population of people that's being raised up mentally, you start to look at those other people and they start to see is that they serve no purpose. It's like having a caveman walking around today when you got people dealing with mathematics and computers and things like that. What good is a caveman walking around today? And that's what the black man is becoming. He's becoming obsolete. The black woman is becoming obsolete. She's trying to adapt a lot quicker, but it's not fast enough because you can't move as natural people. You can't move off of false light, artificial light, meaning the light of mankind. You can't move off of their intelligence because even their intelligence is limited and it moves in a circle. So what will move us forward? What will push us beyond where we are, beyond death, into that next life? The connection with the true and living God through intelligence, through light. Someone said the darkness, in the chat room, they said that the darkness is, the light is blinding and the darkness, is not. And I said the darkness does not exist for any purpose other than to house light. The light is the power in the darkness. Without the light, the darkness has no power. It's just a state of existence, a state of blackness in space. There really is no such thing as darkness. Because even when you close your eyes, you can still see light. I don't care how dark it is, you can see. The fact that you can see darkness means that there's light. There's never a point where light is absent from darkness. They exist together. You see darkness because there is light in darkness, but there is no darkness in light. So that tells you what is powerful and what is not. Darkness is expanded by light. Your life, when you pass into that state of recession or recess, is a state of darkness. And that state of darkness is supposed to be expanded by that state of light or life, a new life, based on intelligence. Because your intelligence will guide you into the next world, into the next life. How intelligent and how advanced your thinking is. See, because people think that once you pass out of this state, or they say die, or you go into a death state, they think that the intelligence shuts down. Yeah, it shuts down in the physical body. The brain shuts off. Everything is cut off. People are leaving the room. The person has left the room. He left the building. However, what ends up happening is that intelligence is still in motion to seek a new house. That mental soul is looking to seek out a new house, a new body to house. Fresh, newborn baby that will grow into a strong body, new body, young body. Right? Like I said, I gave the analogy of a new house. Would you want to stay in an old, broken down house, or would you want to move into a new house? As strong as your intelligence is, as advanced as your memory is and your intelligence is, your mental connection, your soul of mind is strong, that will move you, that light energy will move you into a next world, into a next life. That will dictate that. But if you believe that that's it, if you think that that's it, and, I'm just here, I'm just doing this, I'm doing it, you will burn out. Then that's it for you. Because you don't have enough mental power to channel that next realm. That's all on you. Your life after the stage of recession is on you, or what you call death is on you, whether you live into the next world. How fast you make the transition and how slow you make it, if you make it at all. That's all based on your intelligence. Everything is mental. Everything is mental. Yes, I like that. Call it a graduation. I like that, Patricia. Yeah, it is. Technically a graduation. All things are mental. You can move beyond death into a next world, into the new life, by way of your intelligence, by way of your mind. You can surround yourself with people who are thinking on that level, and it will speed up your intelligence. Why would you want to be around people who don't think as you do? Hell, the people that, I tell you what, the people who don't think as you do, they're smart enough not to want to be around you. They want to stay in that submental state. They want that. They don't want any light. You're too much. You're too much. They can't take it. You're too much. You think too much. You're going to start hearing, and our people are saying, oh, you think too much. You ever heard that? People say things like, you think too much. Meditation is based on stopping or slowing down your thought process, or totally disconnecting yourself from thinking about things, which is impossible and goes totally against what the state of mental and what we're trying to do and accomplish in that elect group of black people, which is to speed up our thinking. We're trying to speed it up. We're not trying to slow it down. We're not trying to slow down our way of thinking. You can't speed that up by way of the intelligence of mankind. See, they have their own secret think tanks and chambers that they go in, and they move in a circle and whatnot. It really doesn't go anywhere. The extent of their intelligence goes into just basically governing this planet. It's not nothing beyond that. Everything after that is speculation. But they're not going to tell you that. But see, the black man and the black woman have been conned into believing that these people are authorities on everything and that they know everything. They've been conned into that. You have accepted the belief that these people are authorities on everything. Medical, so-called spiritual, religious, everything you go to them for. And they did that purposely, so that you would not think, so that you would not make that mental connection, so that you would not create or produce something greater. That was done purposely to what you see today, which is a bunch of zombies. You understand that? That's what you see today. You don't see black people looking at a black man for mental guidance or higher mental connection, or one who is going to structure a mental connection, or as a teacher. You don't see that. Even in our own minds, we see the black man as a fool. We can't help it. Especially when they push Tyler Perry in your face, man, with a dress on, things like that. All that's done purposely. All that's done to produce nothing in your mind. All that's done to make sure that you don't make it into the next realm, that you don't make it into the next world, because we're constantly going through different stages and different dimensions of this existence. And with each stage and different, at each stage a different dimension of each time and space, as it's governed by these dimensions, as we're going into higher defined states, we have to become highly intelligent. We have to become highly intelligent. We have to produce advanced people from our genetics. We're not doing that today. We are producing degenerates. We are producing people who will not make it into the future world or the next world. And we've even set up here and told ourselves, oh, there's nothing. We got some of our people, ain't nothing. You just come here, you live, and you die, and that's it. And for them, that's it. That's as far as they go. They're going to burn out here. There's no next world for them. That's why, and even with mankind, a lot of them, there's no next world for them. That's why they hold on to everything here. That's why they'll kill, they'll do everything to try to possess land when nobody really owns land. You know, that's an illusion. You know, you can get all the guns you want and threaten people all you want to, but you don't own the land. You just living here. It's like fleas on a dog. Like the fleas arguing over a space for the dog on the dog's body. But the dog can shake you off any time. See that? You know? So our people will sit up here and put energy into this, and they'll develop the submental mindset of mankind, where they'll kill over money, they'll kill over physical things, they'll stress out over these things, they'll focus all that energy and attention into this instead of focusing on greater things. And he'll walk you into that to focus your energy on these small things, just to keep you from focused on the bigger things, on the greater things, on constantly improving your life, on constantly registering and doing great things in the world so that you can ensure that your presence is needed in the next. This is not pie in the sky I'm feeding my people. I don't feed people pie in the sky. I'm feeding you reality. All things are mental. To make it into the next world, logically, you have to register mentally in this one. No one will teach you that anywhere else. This is factual. You live on in people's memories. And because you live on in many people's memories, those people will produce you again physically. That's reality. That's reality. Because the need for you is here on the planet. There will always be a need for an Elijah Muhammad. There will always be a need for a Dr. York. There will always be a need for a Marcus Garvey. And there's going to be a need for an intellectual ʟᴏᴜ. I'm going to make sure of that. Make yourself useful. Make yourself useful. You understand that? Make yourself useful. Ultra stand that. Like I said, these people that will stand in line, we don't worry about that for the $200 tennis shoes and whatnot. We don't worry about them. That's the black race. We done with the black race. We trying to create a door to usher our people out, the intelligent ones of our people, out of the black race. That's what we're doing. We're creating a society to usher our people out of the black race. Because the black race is messed up. They're just like the rest of mankind right now. A lot of our people don't want to face it. They still want to hold on to this, but they're the ones that are going to die here and burn out. They're the ones that are not going to make it into the next world because their mentality is too low. Their mental connection is not in a state of existence. It's not connecting to anything but to this submental state. And you see it. They will not be needed in the next world. However, mankind, the white man, they're trying to make sure they're necessary. They serve a purpose here. They serve a purpose more than our people do. You understand? They will be caretakers of the planet. They're taking care of the planet. Like I talked about who God, when I was talking about last week, who God is truly in connection with. I said he's in tune with the power elite. I said that they're in tune with the power elite. You understand? Because they're keeping order here. So is a connection going to be formed? So this is like we had to make it a breaking point where a connection has to be formed, a high mental connection. We have to learn again, or we have to acknowledge who the true and living God is, that the Supreme Being is the future us, that we are connected to that we are a part of the body of the Supreme Being, of the true and living God. We have to eventually do away with the title of God and look beyond God and the devil and look to a balanced being. A truly supreme being is a balanced being, good and evil. Sometimes evil is necessary when you have to fight off something. Sometimes good is not always the answer to everything. Sometimes when you apply negativity or evil, it becomes good. You might have to apply negativity or evil to defend your family, so now it becomes necessary and it becomes good. So now can we then look at it as bad and good anymore? Or do we look at both of these attributes as necessary to make up a full person, to make up an advanced person, a person who will live on as a full and complete being in this life and in the next? You dictate whether you move into the future. You dictate that by your thoughts, by what you are thinking on at a higher level, beyond everyone else, amongst the elite, amongst the elect. The elect will have the planet, will have the world. This is a reality. Questions, comments. Questions, comments. Weigh in on it if you have any questions or comments. Because I said I'm going to present to you a logical explanation to life after death. And I think I've done that completely. So if we have any questions on it, we'll take them. Because we have to grow up mentally now. We have to grow up. We are in a stage of confusion. We have to move beyond it. We have to become concrete in our way of thinking. No more abstract ways of thinking. Because abstract people who don't stand for nothing are the people who will not make it into the next world, and they damn sure don't make it in this world. People that make it in this world and in the next world are people who definitively stand for something. not you airhead Negroes who are in the conscious movement and all these other things who stand around. Oh well, I kind of take from this. I kind of like this. I'm about this. No, you people, you don't register because, like I said, you are fence sitters. You don't stand for nothing. You don't stand for nothing. You don't definitively stand for nothing. Black people, or so-called black people, that bright race we're raising out of the black race, will definitively stand for higher intelligence through the true and living God. Amen. That's what we stand for. We're not interested in the rest of this foolishness about religion and religious beliefs and Pan-Africanism. We're not interested in that. I'm taking my people to another level mentally, where we're supposed to be. We're jumping over all the past history of Egypt and Africa and metaphysics and all that other nonsense. We beyond that. We trying to go beyond that right now. For a lot of our people, they don't think that's possible. This ain't for you. This is not for you. We only want our people who know and see the reality of a next world, of a new existence, and are willing to sacrifice what we have in this old state to bring in that new world, that state of evolution. I've sacrificed. See, because black people, we always want things to change, but we don't want to change ourselves. That's the problem with it. We don't want to think. We don't want to. We don't want to move our. We don't want to move our way of thinking forward. We want to stay in the same circle because we're afraid. Told you, death kept us afraid and kept us in religion. Fear of the unknown. Fear of the unknown is what controls our life. Fear of death and, what happens after death, or are we going to really go in the ground? That controls our whole life. Fear controls our lives. That's why we don't produce doctors and lawyers and leaders of the world in the future world. That's why we produce people that stand around, smoke weed all day with their pants hanging down and talking a bunch of nonsense because they're afraid. They're afraid. See, it takes courage to not do foolishness. It takes courage to do something that everybody's not going to kick to might laugh and be like, well, what you doing and whatnot? That's not popular. It takes courage to do that. That is the courage of God, the true and living. Because God is one who does not do what everybody else is doing. So if you're following what everybody else is following, then you're not in tune with God. You're not in tune with the true and living God. You're in tune with the man-made God and the people that believe in heaven and hell and white sheets and bedrobes and wings on their back and all kind of stupidity like that. You part of those people. Or the simple-minded atheists who believe that everything just came into existence just out of a big explosion. Or the simple-minded people that believe, once you go in the ground, that's it. Everything. That's the end of everything. Well, my question to you is, before you were born, when you were not in a state of existence, where were you before that? Where were you before that? You had to come from a state of darkness into light and then go back into a state of darkness in order to come back out of a state of light. You don't see this? If you don't think there's life after so-called death or life after life, where were you before the stage of life, before you came into existence? Where were you? Before your mother, before the sperm, before the sex act, where were you? Stage of recess. Very simple. And then you came here in physical form. And then you left in physical form. And you will return based on your intelligence, based on your need to be here, based on the planet's need for you, because many of our people don't find their purpose. So therefore, based on that, they do not exist, or they will not exist in the future world because they serve no purpose. Intelligence constantly expanding by way of the true and living God, that connection. I would like to tell you again about, for a minute, breaking away from this, about the State of Mentel's Black Evolutionary Mind Expressions for you, those of you who are in the New York City area. Come on out. We're going to be doing it Saturday, starting at 8, March 3rd. It's going to be an evening of spoken word and poetry and some vocal some vocalists will show up like they did last week. We had a good time last week. That was our first one last week. We got a decent group for the beginning, and we're going to only get better because we should start mingling and getting to know each other and not have to be in a crowd or a group of people where there's, all kinds of low-natured people, people who are vibing on the sub-mental state. People are coming together looking to socialize with people who are thinking on a higher level, who are trying to advance their way of thinking somewhat. You understand? People are not just trying to, go into some place and pick somebody up, or, that these parties that's basically driven by low mentalities and things. We looking to do something beyond that. That's why we sponsored the spoken word things, because spoken word produces greater intelligence, because it makes you go into your mind and come up with greater thoughts. It makes you think deeper about life and express yourself through those words. That's why we did it. It's going to force our people to think. And we will be coming back with the Mind Power conferences in May. Okay? We will be coming back with the Mind Power conferences in New York, and we will be traveling from different states. The first one in New York in May is the Hidden Mind Power of a New Black People. I dropped that out. And plus, we still have the CDs coming out, The Great Depression of the Modern Day Black Woman. That'll be out. And also, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Messenger of Higher Intelligence. That's coming out, along with more CDs, more books within the beginning and toward the end of the year. More things coming out. State of Intel will be producing more literature and audio cassettes that's based on higher intelligence and on the knowledge of intellect. So that's it. I've had this has been a good broadcast. I'm using a different phone now because we broadcast from phones, and when I had to change up, I feel like this is clearer. Anyone who has any questions within these last 7 minutes of the broadcast, we will be putting up the Great Depression of the Modern Day Black Woman for sale, $10 for that CD. We're going to put it out there, and we're going to, like I said, because I know a lot of women, a lot of sisters suffer from depression, and it is a mental disorder amongst the black woman. And I said we have to start equally addressing the mental problems of the black woman as well as the mental problems with the black man. And we cannot leave other people to address our people, outside people who are not us, whether it's the so-called psychiatrist. I don't care if he's a white man, East Indian, Hindu, the Scientologist. We can't leave people to sit around and try to figure us out. Nobody knows what's going on inside your house when they're looking from the outside in. But the people who are inside the house, who are going to connect to a higher mindset, who are going to look beyond the problem to the bigger picture, will be able to diagnose our problem and move us forward if we accept that from our own people. So that's it for our broadcast. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I like the fact that my usual people come out and they listen. Dawn, thank you for coming out and supporting the State of Mentel's Black Evolutionary Mind Expressions first spoken word show, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. Sister Dawn, very great supporter of what we do in the State of Mentel. Excellent sister. I want to thank you all tonight for listening. I hope I gave you a greater understanding of what we teach in the State of Mentel and through the knowledge of intellect. For you people who didn't get a deeper understanding of it, tune in on the following shows and ask me the questions. Ask me the questions on my Facebook page, the Intellectual Nubian Menkares. That's MENKARAYZZ. MENKARAYZZ. I'm sorry. Sometimes I mess up my own name because I'm thinking my mind's all focused on other things. So I'm doing like 2 and 3 things at one time. So again, MENKARAYZZ, Menkares, the Intellectual Nuben, NUNBEN, Intellectual Nuben Menkares on Facebook. Ask me the questions that you might have been afraid to ask me, or you were just listening and you didn't want to put yourself on there, because we get a lot of people who want to ask questions, but they don't want to sound silly. They don't want to put themselves out there. They're just listening. So it's cool. Not a problem. I'm going to close out this broadcast. I am the Intellectual Nuben Menkares, and during the course of the week, I said we're going to be bringing more broadcasts. We're going to be talking about the financial evolution of our people. We're going to be talking about the evolution of our relationships. We're going to be doing that on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I promise I'm going to bring you 3 shows, but we've just been so busy in setting up new programs and, structuring new classes and trying to set up class from state to state, because this is what our people need. But I still want to keep in tune and keep in beat and in step with our radio broadcasts. So trust me, these broadcasts, the future broadcasts, are coming on Wednesdays and Fridays. So with that, we're going to close out. See y'all again next Monday at 9 on State of Intel Radio. I am the Intellectual Nuben Menkares. Good night.